Hi guys, it's Joe and welcome to phonehouse.co.uk. Now it took a little while, but in 2014 Apple released the iPhone 6. Now it meets their aim of being thin and light while still having some major capability, and they were dead chuffed with it. But the question is, were we? Let's take a look. Starting with build and design, and holding this device you immediately know it's smooth, light, curvaceous and extremely tactile with thoughtful ergonomics. It has a great display, impeccable colour replication, bright contrast and sharp retina graphics. It weighs in at 129 grams. In terms of dimensions, it comes in at 138.1 by 670 by 6.9 millimeters and is a little bit smaller than rivals such as the S6. However, its simplicity is impeccable and it's not that much larger than the iPhone 5. Apple's usual attention to detail is ever present, with the front glass curving gently to meet the sides of the case, so you can't even feel the join. Now it's this kind of quality that sets the iPhone apart from its rivals. An aluminium case gives a high quality look and feel, and plastic runs between the individual metal parts in order to allow for uninterrupted mobile and wireless reception. It's available in space grey and silver or gold. It's really a matter of which one you prefer. Chances are you'll be pleased with its 4.7-inch 1334 by 750 display, which comes in a bit above 720p for a crispness of 326 ppi. Now, many people have criticised the PPI, saying it may be substandard, but we certainly didn't think so. I mean, it's better than most television screens. The picture is sharp, superb brightness, and is full of typical Apple colour variants that are rich and deeply contextual. However, many have criticised the OS as it can't handle a full HD screen when competitors were managing this over a year before the iPhone 6 was released. In terms of features, it has everything you'd expect, including Apple Pay, a more comprehensive health app, FaceTime, active noise cancellation with an active mic, and Siri language commands and dictation, meaning you now can more effectively dictate your text messages as well. You also get the iCloud service with 5 gigs of storage, and the keyboard has had its problems solved. Looking at the camera, and the primary is 8 megapixel with 3264 by 2448 pixels, phase detection, autofocus, dual LED flash as well, and the secondary camera is 1.2 megapixels with face detection, HDR and FaceTime, all that kind of thing. But what's the real selling point for Apple? Well, the main talking point is focus pixels, where additional elements that work out where light is actually coming from, so they can provide directional information to the camera to focus more quickly. That, combined with the lower megapixel count, which makes the task of taking a photo less onerous on the sensor, improves the snapping speed. With Apple's Auto HDR mode, it means a larger selection of your photos will look better naturally, and there are also new camera modes to play with, including a time-lapse feature and the brilliant HD panorama feature that are integrated into the app itself. Looking at video, and you can record at a number of frame rates, including 1080p at 60 frames per second, 720p at 240 frames per second, and also at 120 frames per second. Now, the video is really something that has been improved, including the brilliant slow-mo phase, which we had a tremendous amount of fun with. Shooting at 240 frames per second for smoother super slow movies, and 1080p standard video is now shot at a very smooth 60 frames per second, meaning you get that hyper real effect that some movies are now showing in even your local cinema. Looking at performance, and in terms of the operating system, it comes with iOS 8, which is upgradable to iOS 8.3, and the chipset is the Apple A8. In terms of the CPU, the dual-core 1.4 GHz Cyclone processor has been criticised by many as not being massively powerful. When you put this together with 1 GB of RAM, it doesn't look too impressive. That being said, iOS is so effective at closing down unnecessary background apps that may be using energy or memory resources, that to be honest, this processor and the low RAM aren't really a problem, and it still runs just as effectively as its rivals. You can get a 16GB, a 64GB and a 128GB model as well. Finally, the battery, and it has a non-removable lithium polymer 1810 mAh battery, and with 3G you're looking at standby times of up to 250 hours and talk time of about 14 hours, with a projected music playback of around 50 hours. Now, unsurprisingly, battery life on the 6 is better than on the 5S because more of the phone is battery. Taking into consideration network availability and screen brightness, we're looking at around 30% improvement on battery compared to the 5S. The only downside of the bigger battery is that it takes longer to charge, though it was still quicker than LG's or Samsung's comparably sized models. The Apple faithful will absolutely love this phone as it improves on its predecessors in every single way, and let's face it, it looks great too. That being said, the specs and the processing power do lag behind its closest competitors. However, as with all Apple products, you're paying for the brand and the user experience, both of which are pretty much flawless on the iPhone 6. 4 out of 5.